Welcome to Ma'am's Talk, where Ma'am's Talk Survivor. We're here for a very exciting episode 4 of Survivor Skaneateles. I'm Kay, and I'm here with my co-host, Jessica.
Hello. I'm very excited to talk about this infamous episode of Survivor Skaneateles.
And a person who always seems to be in the middle of the action, Allie. At this point, I feel like you're really just the third host of this podcast.
I would take that on with honor, and I'm extremely honored to be invited to talk about this very special episode of Survivor Skinny Atlas.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't really think there was another option of a person that we would have wanted to speak about this specific episode.
Thank you.
So, welcome back.
Thank you so much, Tams.
So I think let's get down to the nitty-gritty of the drama of this episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Bucketgate incident itself.
Yes,
Yeah.
which is never once referred to as Bucketgate in the episode, but it is immediately what we started calling it right off the bat.
Yeah.
Like
that immediately
day.
in game. Yeah, that day.
Yes.
It was referred to as Bucketgate 1,000 times.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Good name.
So, okay. Yeah, definitely. So, I am explaining the concept of the challenge. I feel like I'm being pretty clear about my rules.
I would agree.
Wouldn't you say?
I also know
Yeah.
for a fact that you included all of the things that maybe wouldn't have because you don't normally include instruction questions in the final edit, but it's very clear that you're someone's like, wait, so can we move? And you're like, nope, you can't
Absolutely
move.
Nope, you're saying
Stationary.
stationary. You're saying stationary and throwing. Stationary
And then
throwing.
and then you also include the part where in the dolls deliberation, they're like, so do we have to carry the bucket up the stairs? And everyone's like, no, you don't have to carry the bucket up the stairs. The second it's full, you set it down and you run.
Correct.
And it's very intentional because later when certain members of the dolls are complaining about certain things not being clear, it's like I don't know where we got lost in translation here.
Yeah. I did feel like a one-person defense committee.
There's so much footage of Allie being like, well, she did say this, but then trying to be agreeable by being like, yeah, no, but it totally sucks for sure.
Yeah, I was in a really interesting sorry, my mom's I was in a really interesting position of trying not to be on the outs of the group while also being what now looks to me as an extreme teacher's pet.
Right. Which is, I mean, it worked. You're here.
I'm here. But also in the moment, I was maybe the angriest I've ever been in my life.
And I think that also comes across.
Yeah, I think it does come across. Very disproportionate reaction for the silly little game, but I felt righteous in the moment.
Yeah, no, I think that it's this game, no, it's silly, but in the moment it's very real. And I think that was a valid thing to be upset about.
Yeah. And I also, I mean, maybe let's just talk about the events that unfold, and then we'll get into the aftermath.
Yeah, let's talk about the challenge, shall we? Specifically, okay, I was requested by Ella, who was on our last episode, to figure out. I
can't believe that you actually did this.
To figure out how many buckets were thrown. Now, I don't have
an I threw so many buckets. I need to know how strong I am.
Basically, yeah. She's like, she wants to have a little badge. It's like, I did this, and I have this endurance. Now it's not exact because we do not have the raw cut, nor do we have a really clear moment that's more than a couple seconds of just one or multiple rounds of the bucket.
Yeah.
So what I was able to determine was that one cycle took about 8 seconds. So from Grant to Gabby, that's about how long it took. So with that in mind, per minute, it was about 7.5 buckets. Okay? And the challenge up until the coconuts get their water in was about 11 minutes. Again, not a super clear time, but based on the timestamp, that's what I came up with. And that comes to a grand total of 82.5 buckets for the cocoa nuts.
Cocoa
Now, I
nuts.
don't have the information for the dolls.
Because they divulged into craziness once we
And
all
guess
left.
what? No one's asking.
Right. It was about the same amount up until that point, though. And it's a lot. I'm not gonna say that's a lot of reps, you know.
Yeah, of course.
I'm sure people were tired.
Physically
but,
intensive.
Yeah, but now Ella can wear that little 82.5.
Yeah.
And again,
There you
like this
go.
is just based on one of the cycles, so like maybe that was a particularly fast cycle. Maybe we started to slow down later. I don't know. Hard to
From
say.
my memory, I feel as an observer of the challenge, I do feel like it was relatively consistent cycles.
It was a rhythm
so
for sure.
I think
there
that
was,
you
of
could.
course, the bucket pouring pause.
So
Yeah,
true.
of course.
Yeah.
That's true. But it did
Didn't
say like
account for that.
10 minutes elapsed. I don't know what I meant in that moment. So I was
great
kind of thinking
question.
is it a combined 11 minutes, but I'm not sure if I actually meant
think
that
you
or if it was like
probably-
11 after the reset.
I think you probably just did, oh, this video is at 10. You know, the video that I'm
I
editing
know
is
that
at
the
10.
challenge in total took almost half an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. But again, like people were at the ring toss for a long time. Puzzle
Long
took a
time.
little bit.
Oh,
so.
we know people were at the ring toss for a long time.
Yeah.
But at least 82.5 buckets, I think.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Huge for our contestants.
Yeah.
So let's get to the nitty-gritty here.
Yeah.
We start moving. The coconuts are a little bit ahead coming out the gate, right? And then something starts to happen.
Something starts to
Something
shift.
starts to happen, a shift, if you will. Max moves forward with Dylan, and so does Justin. Now, this is not purposeful, you know, things just happen. But I was thinking in my head during this time, I'm like, oh wow, the coconuts are like, not the coconuts, the dolls are getting like really into rhythm, like really quickly. Like they're getting tons of water in all of a sudden. And I like it didn't really process why that was happening. And then someone in my ear said something to me. Allie.
Allie herself.
Snitch on her own team.
I think I was also part of the snitching because Allie said to me, are they moving forward?
Yeah.
And I was like,
right.
They're definitely moving forward. And then we collectively were like,
I do want to also say this was a good chance for Jessica and I to link and create on the sideline.
Yes.
If you look very closely, there's a handshake that happens at one point, which I don't think I caught it while I was editing it, but I did catch it when I was watching.
Yeah, you know, and I don't really remember
what's going on there.
Talked about.
I don't know. I remember we were very friendly with each other.
Yes.
I remember Jess said, and I'll remember this forever, you've been a really good sport. And I said, yes.
Oh my God, that's really funny.
Oh, just like overall, not even
You've
just
been a really good sport overall.
Wow.
I think because I had really noticed.
You've been a good sport.
I really noticed that you were putting it, you had a change of heart. Your disposition within the game.
Intentional change of disposition.
So was the handshake kind of to be like, good job, you know, we'll see you up there when we get there kind of deal?
I think it was like a good luck. I think we were trying to be friendly.
Gotcha.
I think
on the sidelines.
And
we did not talk.
We didn't talk game.
Yeah, no.
As far as I remember. But there was like, first of all, a genuine friendship because we are, of course, friends.
Yes, of course.
So it was kind of like, oh, I get to hang out with my friend on the sidelines. But also there was this kind of like, I see you.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up?
I do think that there was a little bit of like a unspoken thing happening, you know? But I think it was good for me to connect with you because I felt much more welcomed by your presence than I did the year before.
Right. Okay, so you both collaborated to call out the unevenness.
Because we're
Okay.
righteous and just.
Yeah, I mean, Ella and Zach were trying to tell me that
Yeah.
for a long time, I guess, but there was a lot going on. There's water
Yeah.
splashing. I didn't hear it.
Yeah. I also think it's important to note that I don't think it's really talked about in the episode, but Santino's also stepping forward with his bucket, which I don't really think is
basically just pouring the water.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
If you really look at the clip, like, that's what I was thinking. I was like, wow, they like, I guess their arms are really long.
Yeah.
Like, they're not even really throwing it. He's just pouring it directly into the bucket. And it had happened for like a couple minutes that was happening before like any of this had really like processed. So by the time it does get called out, you know, it's only fair to pour out some water.
Yeah.
And people are losing their minds about the amount of water I pour out.
Okay, and I also need to own up a little bit because it looked like a lot from my perspective. Like, at the
everyone
time,
gasped.
And you can hear that you cut me off. Like, you can hear that I'm screaming and it was cut off in editing because I was like, that's so much water, which definitely wasn't helping. Like, and again, doesn't even like I shouldn't be upset about this in like personally because it's the other team, but like it looked like a lot of water at the time, and looking at the editing and the footage, it is so not a lot of water, but at the time
honestly, I probably should have poured out more.
At the time it was very it felt very dramatic, but not that you were being dramatic, but it was just like shocking moment, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you maintained our lead.
Sure,
which
despite
is important,
the coconuts being ahead when everyone was at the same distance.
Yes.
Correct.
And also the coconuts coming back at the end and getting well above the amount of water that the dolls were when they were parallel. So I think it's pretty clear to say that more water probably should have been poured out.
Yeah.
Well, according to Max, 2/3 of the water was
oh my god.
Totally, for sure.
I want to be so clear, he stands by this. He's like, no, you're wrong. Like, you poured out so much water. Like, we've talked about it since, and you know, the sibling.
He also maintains what he says in this episode, which is because they were not purposefully cheating maliciously, they should not have been punished for cheating.
That's
where
silly.
when I think that this is not a punishment, it's just like an evening of
it's just
pouring
to make
out
it
the
fair.
fraudulent water. You poured out the fraudulent water. There was no penalty. There was no time penalty. There was no like you guys like are
and it's
disqualified.
Not like you're doing like you did more work and now you have to do like you have to like make up the work.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you were using the exact same amount of bucket tosses or whatever. So it's the exact same thing. Like, as I was saying, the rate of which the coconuts and the dolls were doing their cycle of throwing was basically the same. So it really should not have mattered if I poured out a little water.
Yeah, like if you wanted to punish them for like purposefully cheating, which is like I don't even know like what the rule on that would be. That's what I'm saying. Like they would just be disqualified, or emptying it and you have to start over now. Like that would be the punishment.
I also want to be so clear because I've looked at the rule book recently. I was on the page, just I don't know why, but there was a section for challenges where it said something. I wish I pulled it up, but it said that players may be granted a redo based on Kay's discretion for minor like mess ups. And the example that I used in the rules was if you know, a player starts to throw the rings at the ring toss before the whole team is on the mat. So instead of being like, no, you get a time penalty, whatever, she's like, no, that doesn't count. Wait for everyone to come back and I'll do it again. So it was the same principle. It's like, no, you're not like punished for it, but like you have to redo
because you did it fraudulently, basically, like against the rules.
As somebody on the losing team, and clearly I was in opposition to most of my team members, I thought it was completely fair. And I also knew in my mind that we had some real justice-focused people on the coconuts. particularly Zach, particularly Ella,
So true.
particularly Jess,
Yeah.
who, if they had seen that and it wasn't addressed and it went on for longer, it would
Yeah.
have caused more conflict in the long run, which is why I called it out in the first place.
Definitely.
It definitely would have.
Yeah.
Like, even if we didn't notice it until editing, it would be a topic of conversation, like, later. That, like, did they deserve to win? Like, that, it would be a whole thing. Like, you just gotta quit while you're ahead.
So the bucket's poured out, and
Mhm.
clearly certain members of the team are not happy with the decision. Particularly Santino's a little curt. When I'm like trying to riff out on him or whatever. So I had to back off a little bit, obviously. But
he's especially angry because he is upset because he can no longer step out of his place. Because, like, you're allowed to move the bucket with your arm length, but you cannot step past your spot to, like, catch the water. So now he feels like he's doing nothing, and he, like, basically yes. So he basically just sets the bucket down and lets Justin dump it as best he can because he doesn't want to help anymore because he feels like he's useless.
Another part of this, and I think I probably could have stamped this more, so I'll take partial responsibility for this, is the players who were involved in the bucket challenge part of this could have swapped positions, but Allie wasn't allowed to step in.
Gotcha. Right. Yes, I do remember we talked about this. There was confusion about that, clearly because Dylan.
But again,
and
there was a lot happening, so is what it is.
But they never asked.
They did never ask. They asked if Allie could step in, and I said no.
Yes.
Yeah. But
they didn't ask.
In retrospect, regrets about not joining in on the buckets because
let's talk about it.
I did this exact challenge multiple years in a row at summer camp. And for some reason, I thought that I was making the argument that I should be in the buckets. But when you see the footage, it's me saying, I think that somebody else should do the buckets. Everybody else is probably stronger and better than me. I shouldn't be a part of this. But in my head, I was making an argument for me to participate in this challenge.
That's crazy. Well, I'm watching it. It was like 5 minutes of just everyone being like, no, I'll sit out. No, I think I'll sit out. No, it's really okay if I sit out. And it's like, y'all, like, where's the team camaraderie?
What my question is why did Caroline sit out? Like, she, like, says, like, oh, you guys are probably stronger than me. What do you mean? That's not true, Caroline.
They're men.
They're strong, big men.
They're men and Dylan. Yeah. Caroline's argument was that she thought that a running competition would be next. But my theory is, if we remember from the previous challenge, or maybe the challenge before, Caroline sustained an injury. And I think that Caroline was still recovering from said injury and wanted to sit out. But I think that
didn't want to say it.
Didn't want to say that she wanted to sit out, which is fair. That's totally fair. But that's the working theory.
That's fair. That's a good point.
It was funny to watch her and Mo, like, try to have some sort of conversation. And again, like, the 30 minutes that they're alone on the sidelines.
It would have been completely opportune for them to form an alliance. Do something in those 30 minutes of completely being alone.
From what I understand, she was trying to talk to him about some sort of strategy, and he was just kind of like, I don't know, whatever you want, I guess.
He's not the right person to have that opportunity with, but I feel like if you and me, Allie, were up there, for some reason, we would have been talking.
Yeah, I think that we already kind of wanted to talk, but couldn't. At least that was my perception, is that I wanted to like have more conversation, but felt like I couldn't because everybody was
I think I was more just like distracted by the challenge is sort of more how I felt. But like, I wasn't even like, I didn't have my game hat on, you know?
Fair.
Yeah. But we get a little like Dolls rule moment from them, which is so funny. And then like cutting back to like the dolls being like a little annoyed.
He's sitting on the dock.
You gave up. You said
many minutes had elapsed.
So the coconuts they were very much ahead in the bucket part, so they move on to the ring toss, and then it just seemed like the dolls just totally threw in the towel at that point.
Which
Talk
is
me
so
through your
funny.
talk me through your perspective, because I'm no longer there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I was under the assumption that Dominic would be a trustworthy person to be the cameraman and make sure that the rules were being followed. But
Yes.
talk me through what you experienced.
Yes. So here we are. Everybody, my favorite word of the episode, demoralized. Everybody's a little demoralized.
Yeah.
They're trying their best with the buckets. They're really not getting far. Everybody's losing stamina. I'm doing my best to cheer everybody on, feeling really guilty that I am not participating at all. Then we hear a little devil on our shoulder. You know, if you guys cheated, they wouldn't see the footage until afterwards. I turn and I go, no, we're not going to do that. Couple minutes pass. Then we have what we see in the episode. Hey, cameraman, what was that? Turn off the camera. Dominic turns off the camera.
I love that he doesn't turn it off.
No, he keeps it
He's
going.
filming the whole time.
Santino.
Well, he turned it off briefly, but turned it back on mid pour out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Santino, without consulting anybody, takes it upon himself to, in his own way, complete the challenge.
Yeah. So here's the thing. You inform me of the Santino cheating part,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
I didn't realize until the footage was received to me during editing that there was more to this story.
Mhm.
That there was an inside man.
There was an
There
inside.
was an inside. It was
And
an
the
inside
inside
job.
man
Weird.
continued to be a part of this production team.
Yeah.
And now moving forward, we have we're really going to tighten who is allowed to do what during production specifically, because it totally ruins the whole fun of it.
Like, thank God you didn't win, and like thanks to Allie that wouldn't have happened, I don't think. But like, oh my, like, can you imagine what drama would have occurred if you guys had won and like your team didn't want to like own up, and then like it would have been so bad.
I mean, it would have been great television, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, for like the people playing, like obviously that's like not cool.
Yeah, I think they also have a bit more of an inside track than the rest of the team on like how much work goes into making this. The fact that Kay specifically spends all year, like pretty much an entire extra job planning Survivor. And I think I felt really upset on Kay's behalf that people were just kind of like, whatever, it doesn't matter, let's just cheat. Which I think
like
is why I'm so angry.
I think it's also like, if you don't want to finish the challenge, give up, own up to it, say that you're tired, give up. Like, it's fine if you don't want to finish the challenge, but don't try and act like you like are gonna then like maybe try and win it afterwards. Like, that's the thing that really pissed me off.
And that's what I thought was going to happen when the bucket was dumped, when Bucketgate occurred.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that sucks, but we'll just go up and say that the other team won, whatever. Not a good look, but we'll recover from it. And then everybody kept doing the challenge. And I said, what was that?
And there are a few, I feel like we've heard a few excuses for this decision to keep playing the challenge. One of them being, we wanted the other team to feel like they were still fighting for something. And
this is not
to finish the challenge.
in the episode. This is not
there.
But this was something that was explained later when, you know, all of the footage came out and people were like, wait, why did you continue? And then, and it wasn't really making sense.
Yeah. But people maintain that they would have said something if they'd won. Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, it's easy to say in like a hypothetical situation, but who knows what would have actually
happened. I know for a fact that I would have said something in the moment.
Oh,
I think it would
have. You 100% would have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why, for my own safety, I sabotaged the puzzle.
Yeah, and that was the smartest thing that you could have done, honestly. Like, this was the best case scenario for you. You just had to act like you were bad at the puzzle.
It was funny, like, watching it and you being like, oh, no.
Oh,
Fuck.
how do I do this? Me really slowly untying the knot.
Mm.
The puzzle that had to do.
It wasn't
people are
that
like,
obvious, but
no, it's
yeah,
not that obvious. People are like, Allie, you want to tap out? You're like, no.
no, I'm
like,
gonna
I
get
got
this.
it.
Hasn't got a single piece in.
I
But also
I'm
funny
almost
because
there.
other
So
people
funny.
were clearly actually trying and also didn't get a piece in. So
Yeah.
It was a
Yeah.
hard puzzle.
It was a hard
hard
puzzle.
puzzle.
Yeah. I personally think I maybe got one piece in, but maybe that's being generous. I was not very good at this puzzle.
It was a difficult one. I don't think that I would have done very well at it if I had tried, but I did not try, and I actively tried to fail it.
Yeah.
Right. Let's talk about the ring toss portion.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about the ring toss portion.
What a abysmal
Yes.
performance by the coconuts.
So bad.
Which is another layer of this because they're flopping so hard at this, and it's
like the dolls could have taken it.
The dolls absolutely could have come back.
I think we clocked it at like we'd been doing the ring toss for like 12 minutes or something. Yeah. Am I wrong? Yeah. Like that seems correct.
It was something crazy like that.
Yeah.
And I think the dolls finished the ring toss like quick.
Oh yeah, you guys were right behind us once we finished it. And luckily we got like a 1-2 like right in a row situation, because it definitely could have gone on longer if like we had to collect the rings and stuff. And and I was doing such a great job throwing those rings back. I'm sure I was helping the cause
they're going in the trees.
Yeah. Kay's like, it's in the bushes.
I'm like, go get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was wild to watch. So that's like another part of this. It's like, you just never give up until the, the deed is done, and it was not done yet.
It is so funny, like,
and if you want to tap out, just tap out.
Yeah. It is funny hearing Caroline be like, you guys are still in this.
I so badly wanted to be like, no, we're not.
Yeah.
I know.
I will say, as much as it annoyed me that we did go through that whole challenge for nothing, I think it really brought our tribe together. It brought up morale so much that we won that. So
yeah. I mean, we can talk about this a little later. Ella is on a high.
Oh, Ella's.
Oh no, let's talk about. I think. Yeah. I mean, do we have anything else to say about the challenge?
Really.
No, not really.
The only thing I just want to say is that, although I am clearly frustrated, and will tell them to their face this, I have no ill will towards anyone, and still love those boys.
Of course.
That's all I have to say. So we're gonna complain. Just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So let's talk about the coconuts, Ella specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And her high. Ella,
she's like red in the face. She's like manic.
Well, because she has her little badge now.
I mean, to be fair, I was actually like so in awe of like the fact that like those 4 were able to do that, because I was just on the side like, oh boy, this is a lot. Yeah. Like Ella describes it very well. Zach's taking it in the face.
Taking it in the face.
Yeah, because
Grant is encouraging.
Here's the thing: is on paper they should not have been first, but I think they just had like better communication.
It was,
and like determination. I think was a lot of it, and like confidence that they could like actually win it. The other team on paper should have won that.
Totally.
But I think they just like had this whole like chip on their shoulder that like, everything's like against us right now, and like I'm not even gonna try my best. So
yeah, I do think it was communication and like teamwork 100%.
Right.
They really killed it in that challenge.
Yeah. I was like, thank God.
It was cool to see.
Yeah. And I did jack shit. I didn't do anything. I didn't do the ring toss.
You were encouraging. You were very encouraging.
I was pretty much just talking shit with Allie on the sideline.
And I loved it.
Yeah, but Ella's funny in her like manic state, like, and he was doing so good, and he was giving me the exact right amount of water, and I just feel so connected to this tribe. I wonder what I should do with that idol. I might show it to him. Yeah, I'm gonna show it to him.
Yeah, I love that part.
And I wrote it down. I said I loved Ella's lip purse because she goes at merge. I'm gonna do
I'm
that.
gonna do that. I'm gonna do that.
I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, it was so
I'm gonna do
good.
that.
So good.
At merge.
And then she's like, I got this.
Like, here you go.
So Jess, you take me through this moment.
God, it was kind of like I was also like kind of out of it. But I do remember like you can see like I turned around and then she goes, I have this. And like clearly everyone else is looking at something and I'm like and then I'm like, oh my God, you have an idol. Like, oh my God. And then she goes, it's not an idol. I was like, oh, okay. Got it. That was sort of the extent of it. We didn't really like talk too much about it, honestly, outside of the footage
did
that
that work for you? She was saying like in the merge, like we can use this. Like, was that?
I think it did. I think, like I said, I think that challenge specifically really bonded us as like a five-some, because there's what, 5 of us left at this point. Like, I think that we are now like linked, like in our minds and hearts. So I think that she is correct in showing it to us in that like we're not necessarily going to use it against her. And I think it does add to the fact that we are like going to enter the merge as an alliance. That's like the whole idea of that. So.
I was a bit conflicted watching that because part of me was thinking that like it's good to solidify a solid 5. But I also felt like it was a good opportunity for Ella to, because you guys already feel so strong as a 5-some, to maybe solidify a final 2 with somebody. Be like, hey.
I agree.
Yeah.
I do sort of feel like it kind of was just like a cherry on top of what had already occurred. So I don't know that it was like necessary to build that trust. Like, I think she could have used it in maybe a more strategic way rather than being like, now we all know about it.
I understand why she did it, and I understand the high of the strong alliance pre-merge.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you get it.
So that's really all that happens with the coconuts.
Yeah, pretty much
because
nothing else.
the stars of this episode are platinum dolls.
Boy, are they. Yep.
Let's talk before we get into like the aftermath of the challenge. Let's just briefly discuss Justin arriving to his new tribe.
Yes, so good. Justin is
so funny.
I loved everything he had to say. He says, my own sister.
Yeah, I did write down Justin is out for Jessica's blood.
Yeah, and then he says, we're gonna get back at those bitches.
Yeah.
He's spilling all the tea, and he mentions that he's a little sour about the fact that you guys were gonna vote him out anyway, and like had no thought otherwise.
Yeah.
And Kay you were very generous in editing this situation. I could not for the life of me understand how this vote out worked.
Oh yeah, you did
ask clarifying questions 4 times.
Yeah.
So they found out after you voted that you were going to be tribe swapped, and they said that's fine. Like 5 times I asked this, and I didn't get it until like he clarified.
He just kept being like, "No." She told us before we voted, and you were like, "Huh." So like after you voted,
I like couldn't get
told
it.
You? Yeah. Pretty funny.
And
everyone else was like,
make sense?
Yeah.
And then everyone you have everyone vote. This person, you're going to the other tribe, and everyone's like, okay, sounds good. Or what's the other option? No, revote.
I don't know. My brain was not working.
But then once you finally get it, you're like, oh, that's even crazier.
I think that's what happens when you spend like an hour in a tent just making small talk.
So was that hard for you, or were you a baby?
Or were you just a baby?
Yeah, I was kind of just a baby.
Yeah, he was just a baby.
He was just a baby.
Oh, we talked that one.
Yeah, we talked about that one.
I can't wait. I can't wait to hear discussion of that. I wrote down a Caroline highlight here where Justin's like, I'm like, do you have any alliances with anybody? He was like, nope, I don't know how to do that. And Caroline said, I think things are beginning to get a little more clear.
Yeah, I like that part
Everything
too.
started to make a little more
sense. So how
Which I
can you
think is
really
a
blame us?
great last line before the theme song.
Yes,
Definitely.
very, very
Great
good.
editing.
So how can you really blame us for voting him out at the end of the day? You know, me
Yeah,
and
I
Ella,
mean,
me and Ella defended this decision last episode. So
yeah. So he's there and you guys lose. It seems like he's like a heavy contender to be booted because he's just like new.
yeah, Santino seems to be like, this is the obvious decision, is Justin.
Yeah, I wrote that down because I did not remember him being the obvious decision at any point. But
It seems like Santino is really set on this idea of like he's a plant from production, and if we get rid of him, there's gonna be he's like playing Big Brother or something. He's like, there's gonna be a twist where we actually weren't supposed to get rid of him, and there's gonna be like consequences or
I mean,
whatever, you know?
there's definitely like a circumstance where that could happen. It's not like out of the, not maybe not
Yeah.
production plant, but like some sort of twist of, you know,
Yeah.
if they vote you out, then this happens, whatever.
Then you go back to the other tribe or something like that. I
Right.
don't know. Yeah.
But that was not the case. So I
Yeah, no.
understand the hesitation, and she's like, well, why did we just get you?
But it's interesting that he doesn't seem to have discussed that with anybody else. He's like playing with it in his own head. I don't know. Is that what you're saying, Allie? Like you didn't hear that from him, or
I kind of, I mean, here's the thing, and maybe it's just because Santino and I were not closely working together.
yeah.
My perception of the situation is that Santino wasn't talking to anybody after that challenge. Like he was not interested in tribal talk at all. It was like pulling teeth to do one-on-ones with people. My perception, which is also why I thought that I was going home, because I thought nobody wanted to talk to me. But Santino was so exhausted from that challenge that he just wanted to like sit in his chair.
I mean, that was everyone though. Like there's like 10 minutes of footage of everyone just like sitting and like complaining.
Yeah, and me being like, so we do have to vote someone out.
So someone want to go talk, and Caroline's like, yeah, let's go like, get this game started.
I was like, finally, finally.
And you're obviously like, okay, so we need to talk about what happened in the challenge. Like and you finally tell Carol, I mean, I don't know how long it had been, but you tell Caroline, who is none the wiser. She had no idea what was going on, and she's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. She's like, what the fuck? And
I also like that she goes, well, I hope Dominic talked to her.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope Dominic told her that, because that's not cool. That's what she said.
little did she know.
Yeah.
He was
and then after all that, she goes, I was thinking Mo.
Yeah, and here I have to give Caroline my cred once again. Santino's in her alliance.
Yeah.
He's a bigger target than her, so it is smart to keep him because people want him out over her. And she does a really good, I don't know if she does a good job or if I just am so easily like manipulated by her in this game, but immediately she has this like authority of like, no, I think it should be Mo. Don't you think it should be Mo? And I'm like, maybe it should be Mo. Who knows?
She spent half an hour like having a non-conversation with him, like game wise.
Right. I do
so
wonder.
She's like, I can't do anything with this guy.
Yeah.
I'm not sure
in the game
exactly
sense, he's useless.
I'm not sure exactly how powerful Caroline's mist is in person, because it feels very obvious that she's like manipulating you in this conversation, and I don't know if that's a you thing or if that's a Caroline thing. You know what I mean? Like in person, she has like a quality.
Blind spot for me. I also do think that after this vote out is when I'm like, Caroline is too manipulative. Like it's no longer safe. Like Caroline is on my list, which you know, but yeah, it works in the moment. But
Caroline plays
have a moment of clarity after.
Caroline definitely plays this game with like a very specific plan, and then she like figures out how she can make it happen. Like that's very much like her MO playing this game.
Definitely. And I also don't think that at that moment I realized that Caroline was working with Santino. If I had realized that, I probably would have played it differently. Like I thought that she was more working with Dylan and I, and she's really well situated because Dylan and I are both deferring to her in this
Yes.
moment. Like
I
Dylan's
know,
like,
I
what is
did think that
Caroline?
was interesting. I was like, y'all just had a conversation about how it should definitely be Santino. And then it's like, okay, Mo is like doing nothing. And then Dylan goes, I want to run this by Caroline before we
Yeah.
talk
Yeah.
about this more.
Yeah. I'm like hitting myself retrospectively. Why? Like it would have been so easy to get Santino out. But for
Yeah.
whatever reason, if
Yeah.
Caroline's not on board,
Yeah.
it can't happen. We don't
Mo
have
and Justin would have done whatever the fuck you wanted.
Exactly.
100%, especially because Justin thought he was going.
Justin thought he was
Right.
for sure gone.
Yeah. So
Poor
Poor
Justin. I
guy.
felt so bad watching it.
Again, he's like beating himself up.
He's
He's like,
beating
I don't
himself
think I
up
did
so
enough.
bad.
Like,
Which is
oh.
like, but like Mo sat out of the challenge, buddy. Like you were out there doing it. And like
Right.
even Dylan is like, me, Justin, and Max were giving it our all. Like we were doing the damn thing, and Santino's over here complaining, setting the bucket on the ground because he doesn't want to hold it anymore because he feels like he's useless in this challenge because his strength is being wasted, you know. Like Justin shouldn't be beating him. I mean, I think it's fair for him to be concerned, but like I just felt bad watching that clip.
Yeah.
He was working so hard in that challenge.
Yeah.
You know, like,
that's the
he's
thing.
obviously in a threatened place because he's the new guy, but nobody could say that he didn't do anything.
Yeah, for sure.
You know.
Yeah.
But
I also would like to address the favoritism allegations.
Oh, I would like to address the favoritism allegations because this
Okay,
shit
take it
fucking
away.
happens. This shit happens every time we do anything, and it pisses me off so much because never once has Kay given me special treatment in any capacity.
oh
And
my God.
also, I am like the integrity queen over here. Like I'm not trying to cheat in any way. Like I don't want special treatment at all. So it's like oil and water. Like that's not happening. It's simply not happening.
But what about the implicit favoritism?
Yeah, because there's overt and then there's covert.
Covert. Right, exactly.
So what you guys are saying that you bought my covert favoritism?
I totally bought it. I didn't even know I was being favorited.
Well, we'll see what happens this season.
We'll see what happens later, but
yeah. But I guess we bought it.
I actually had like an in-ear. I was being fed info about everybody.
Like there's an
idol.
I drop an idol right next to you. I'm like, oh,
what was that?
Interesting. And our confessionals are just like planning sessions.
Yeah. It's definitely not me being like, can you wrap it up?
Yeah, can you get the show on the road?
Saying absolutely nothing, going, all right, you gotta be more concise.
It's just so baffling because these are like mostly your very close friends, and anybody who knows the two of you would know that in no world would Kay like favor Jess in a competitive gaming capacity. Like I said in the episode, if anything, it is the opposite. But I think ultimately, just deeply fair.
I think it is deeply neutral. I think
I try to be as fair as I can. Like,
yeah.
I mean, but everyone has something to complain about on both sides of the coin. Like the coconuts complained about the puzzle thing, the first challenge, and like I know there was a contention about whether or not Santino should have gotten those points during the memory challenge. So it's like, I don't know.
I think it's just really easy to have things to say when you're not the one running the game, you know? Like
and like when and like when you're losing points, like you're just gonna get angry, and like it's all fine, really. Like it's okay to be upset for like a little bit, but yeah, I understand it being like frustrating as you watching it, like
I also
putting all this effort in.
And going into this deliberation, like I said, I was baffled that nobody was upset about Bucketgate. And I felt that not intentionally, but I felt that you were being used as a scapegoat to escape the very clear blame that could be placed on the person who disqualified us.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Like, because whether or not Kay was fair, that still happened.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not a response that you should be having to like perceived unfairness from a production member, from the production member, like the producer, you know.
Yeah, but here we are. I think I think Dylan snaps out of it a little bit.
Yeah.
But not until I say something to him.
Not until you say
No,
something.
not until you, yeah.
But
Because
I mean,
isn't
we
it
got
like
there.
the confessional that he does where he's like, I'm really upset that like he threw in the towel. That's after you talk to him, right?
That I think that was before.
No, it was
No,
definitely after.
That's
was
gotta be
after?
after. I feel like I can just tell
He
it's
does.
after.
He does. Yeah, maybe. But he does say to Allie that it bothered him. But he didn't. It wasn't
not
until. No. Watch it again.
Oh yeah.
Because Allie's like, oh yeah, that bothered me, and he's like, yeah, it bothered me too. But
Yeah.
he
No, but
didn't.
the way
but
that the way that Dylan talks though is like, you know what? That did bother me too. You know what I mean? Like he like
Mention it, yeah.
yeah, now that you
Mhm.
mentioned that that bothered me too, you know.
he's like, yeah, I
But
wasn't really living for that.
I
yeah.
wasn't really living for that. Just
I
the complete nonsense vernacular that we're using in that conversation is so funny.
It's so funny. No, my favorite is Mo is just like, go girl, give us nothing. And then he goes, well, that's tea.
Well, that's tea.
Well, that
Oh, we also get a Manhattan cameo
Yes, I loved
do.
that part.
We
That was so
do.
good.
because Mo is too
Too
comfortable.
comfortable. Which is like, oh my, like, why are you saying that about Mo? That was what was used to describe the winner of Manhattan, Olivia.
No. It's
That's
so
not
ridiculous.
And then Caroline, once again, she's seamlessly being like, oh, ha ha ha, this is a little joke. And Mo's too comfortable. So now he's got to go. And then, like,
Yeah.
you guys vote right along with her.
Insane. Why did I do that?
Insane.
I stay up at night thinking about this. Why?
Because whether or not, like, obviously Mo is not valuable in challenges and he's not valuable for strategy, but at least he's not dumping out buckets of water and
Yeah.
like actively being like a liability to your team, in addition to being a merge threat. Like
Yeah.
all of which Santino is doing.
Yeah, I guess
I feel like I outline his threat level very well in my confessional,
Yeah.
and then I do nothing about it.
Yeah.
I guess the biggest concern with Mo is like, if you get to merge, is he going to stick with you, or is he just gonna like go to Grant and do whatever's silliest, you
Which is
know?
Like-
probably what he would have done.
Yeah.
So I think that's
But-
the valid part here.
Yeah, but to me, Santino's way more dangerous in that respect.
I think for me,
But also maybe a meat shield
Maybe.
for Caroline for sure.
For Caroline, yeah.
well, for you, because you're a challenge
I'm such a
beast,
challenge beast and a
Yeah.
threat.
and everyone's seeing you that way.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Everybody's like,
Totally.
Allie's gotta go. She's hard.
Alex. Mhm.
She has an abstract brain.
And she has an abstract brain.
Yeah,
She was so good at the tree puzzle. We all saw her.
yeah. I really like me feeling the need to explain that I wasn't trying on the puzzle to everybody.
Yeah.
That's why I wasn't sweating it on the puzzle.
That's why
Well,
I
'cause
was
you-
sweating it.
Worrying about it on the puzzle. What are we doing?
It's because you thought you were going home, so you had to be like, no, I wasn't trying. Don't worry about it. Like I am good at puzzles, just I wasn't trying. I definitely could have figured that out otherwise, and I was going to if I like was trying.
Yeah, which is why which is why I think that I am not one of the reasons, other than being manipulated by Caroline, why I'm not pushing so hard on the Santino vote in that moment, because I think that if I make a huge move like that, I'm next to go.
It's funny because you're not mentioned at once.
Not
once.
Not even a little bit. Not even hinted at.
The paranoia of Survivor.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess let's get to tribal council.
Yeah.
And the penalty vote.
And
Oh,
the penalty vote. Yes, of course. So sorry that we do need to discuss this.
Yeah.
I send out a message in the WhatsApp chat for your tribe that because of challenge violations, so Santino will be receiving a penalty vote. And this was pretty late in the game. I think you were the last confessional I did. So it was maybe like 10 minutes before tribal. Was there any like talk about like the implications of this?
Yeah, I remember it clear as day because again, I beat myself up about it. I go to Dylan and Caroline. I say, I just told Kay what happened. Nobody has looked at their phones.
Mhm.
Nobody looks at their phones at all before tribal council. I'm the only one with this information. So I tell Dylan and Caroline, and I say, this penalty vote is happening. What's our move? Caroline goes, I still think it should be Mo. I go, okay.
That's crazy.
What?
I mean, obviously that makes sense for Caroline, but like, oh my God, he literally had a vote on him. Like,
He had a vote on him. All I needed was me, Dylan, and either Justin or Mo.
either Justin or Mo, who is a guarantee because he's the other person going home.
And Justin thinks he's going home.
And Justin thinks he's
It
going
would have
home.
been such an easy vote out. I just was in like such panic mode.
You didn't even need Caroline like for a
didn't
vote.
need Caroline at all.
Yeah.
At all.
And that would have been a great move.
Would have been a great move.
That would have been awesome. I also, Kay, didn't you say that Santino like acknowledged that he saw the message, but then was like acting like he didn't know?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what it was, but I was inside first. Oh yes, I was preparing for the next challenge. I was inside doing that, and he like came in to use the bathroom or something, and he goes, "I saw your text, by the way." And I just was like, "Oh, okay." I don't remember exactly what I said, but I was like, "Oh, I think I said like no hard feelings, but like, you know, you got to follow the rules." That's what I said. I'm pretty sure. And that was like the end of it. So
I also think that
you know.
I remember being really paranoid that he was going to know that it was me who snitched on him.
Yeah.
Which again, just a better motivator to get him out of the game. But
exactly.
I was paralyzed by fear.
I'm so retroactively like mad at you, Allie.
Me too. You don't have to be mad at me. I'm mad at myself. Would have been a huge move.
It would have been so great. An uprising against the
Yeah.
dictatorship that is Caroline.
Yeah, but you know what? You live and you learn.
Yeah. I also had the pleasure of watching this with Ma'am Nick, who is on our Amazing Race episode that we did. Shout out to Nick. And I watched his raw reaction to it, and no, he knew nothing about this season at all. Like he was watching it raw and real, and he was jumping out of his seat waiting for you guys to do Santino. And then when it was Mo, he was like, What? Idiots!
Idiots, all of you. Yeah. I loved watching Nick watch this season.
Also, behind the scenes on Nick, he was Team Platinum Dolls from the very
he loved the Platinum Dolls. He was like,
he jumped ship after this one, I'll tell you that.
Jumped ship big time.
He did.
Yep.
I think maybe if you had voted him out, he would have stayed true, but
yeah. There also was just, as you can see, not a lot of unity happening among the Platinum Dolls.
Totally. I feel like our read on you guys was crystal clear.
Clear,
there was so much division.
Yeah.
So little collaboration.
Yep.
Like, and obviously it was very clear in the challenge, that was the case. But like, even before, we were like, I just feel like they're not working together. Like that was the perception that we kept having of you guys.
So the coconuts are like a nice juicy fruit that like hydrates you. You know, it's very versatile. And then the dolls, as we later learn, are members of a gentleman's club.
Yeah, what a reveal that was. Yes, we are all women of the night at the gentleman's club.
And that is in Times Square, by the way.
It's like the biggest one.
The fact that just happened to be the name, like this is not something that people were aware of going and picking the name, but that just happened to be a gentleman's club is crazy.
Yeah, and it makes the name more slay, no?
Yeah, it does. Like, it does. I was thinking more like if the coconuts are a juicy fruit that hydrates you and revitalizes you, the dolls are just like a piece of plastic whose go girl
a toy that you play with and then you throw away when you're done with them.
Let's see how the rest
a child's plaything.
A child's play. I didn't say that. I just said you were stagnant.
Never
changing.
But they're platinum.
But they're platinum.
But platinum.
So it makes
even
it a
less,
more
even less changing, or I guess more changing than plastic. I don't know.
Yeah, but this tribal council is just so funny because I'm trying to get Mo to like say something to kind of, and not like to save himself, but like to have a little bit of agency in the game, and like because I know that there's like this penalty vote, and like maybe if he says something, they're like, I don't know, something could change in the wind. But he's just like, I just kind of do what people tell me. I got no plans. And I'm like, well, if you're the follower, who's the leader?
Yeah.
I don't know. And it's just so funny because it's like exactly what Caroline was saying, and he's just
Yeah.
like demonstrating that more.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
any sort of like doubt that he had to go, like I feel like it was kind of stamped.
Yeah.
I do think that he I mean, while I do think that this is a good person for you to keep around, Allie, just in the terms of the tribe, he is also like a feather in the wind. That's like very difficult to work with. Like he won't even talk game. So like it is ultimately good for everyone if he
Right.
leaves. It's just the fact that like Santino's right there, you know.
Yeah, I obviously we're not talking about future episodes, but this is such a major, like there are just this is really setting the tone for the rest of the game, this vote out, in my opinion.
Definitely.
And that's all I'll say on that.
But he takes it really well.
He takes it so well.
He's giggling like a madman.
Yeah.
And he's like, no hard feelings. I'm just not really a guy who says much, not a guy with a plan.
I know we're like, any final words? He's like, nah, I'm good.
I'm a man of few words. I'm an unbothered man, is what he said.
An
unbothered man. And
Oh,
he
he's
is.
great. He is great.
He's perfectly unbothered. I would describe him like that.
Could not
100%.
have cared less. I didn't mention this in episode 1 because Mo was not yet on our tribe. But as a, like, I guess a little manipulation tactic, Ella went to me at some point while we were still in our tribes and was like, Mo really wanted to be on your tribe. He was so excited about working with the dolls.
When did when she say that?
She said it maybe like we just like saw each other in passing, and I was like, oh yeah, Mo's on our tribe, and she was like,
so more cheating.
More cheating.
Me and Jessica were talking. Was that?
But that was during a chat. Listen, let's pull up the rule book. Listen. Here, let me pull it up. You guys keep talking.
Oh my god.
You guys keep talking. I'm gonna read it verbatim.
It was probably like when we were setting up for a challenge or something. I just said hi, and she was like, Mo was so excited to be on your tribe, and I was just like, oh, that's really nice.
Was it during during the challenge?
I don't know when it was. It honestly might have been post-merge. I don't even remember. But
you know
I think
what?
it was pre-merge.
Bygones be bygones.
Bygones be bygones.
This is in the past.
All right, I'm leaving it alone.
There's nothing we can do about it now.
But all I have to say was Ella was just being mean and lying for no reason. She said Mo really wanted to be on your tribe. A lie.
That is funny.
For no reason.
Even though Grant was like hammering home that he was the only one who had any vested interest.
And Mo could not have cared less, which becomes evident immediately.
Yeah.
But I love Mo. I'm so happy he was on our tribe.
So I feel like we don't even really have to talk about it. MVP Mo?
Mo. I think we're unanimous that Mo is the MVP.
Yeah.
No, but we have reached the portion of the episode where we must crown an episode MVP.
Yes.
There's a couple looming, but what are our thoughts?
I feel that I have a pretty clear answer.
I do as well.
I can begin if wanted. I said that Caroline is the episode MVP because she, like I said, the dictator of the Platinum Dolls, has 100% say in everything that happens on that tribe, and is, I think, making decisions that are good for her game. Is easily manipulating people. She's disarming herself as a threat by being kind of silly goofy in all her conversations, but she's a woman with a plan, unlike Mo.
Yep. I said the same. Caroline, I mean, maybe I'm biased because she was manipulating me primarily, but I've said it a million times and I'll say it one more. She is just a master when it comes to this game of seeming like she's not pulling the strings, at least to me, and doing it effortlessly and protecting herself in the process. And like Jess said, making herself seem really disarming and affable and like she's kind of off the cuff when in retrospect she has a really clear plan that she wants to execute and wants everybody to like bend to her will. And she did it effortlessly this time.
Yes. I do just want to acknowledge that Allie is something that I considered solely because you are the only one with a voice of reason about the challenge, and morally speaking, you're my MVP.
I did write Allie also as my runner-up, even though Caroline was my clear pick. Mostly I think you really kill yourself because you are 100% manipulated by Caroline. Right. But the fact that you are the only person who's talking about Santino in that way, like obviously Caroline has a reason to keep him, and so does Max, but like Mo and Justin and Dylan are all just like, I don't know, like, so your head's in the right spot.
My head's in the right spot. Early setup could have been me for episode MVP. I think the fact that I flail so fantastically in the end of the episode knocks me so far out of the running that it's like I'm actually episode flop.
Right.
Wait, should we start doing episode flop?
Ooh. So, I will say we unanimously picked the episode MVP to be Caroline.
Congrats.
Hey.
I thought that was reserved for special MVPs like me.
Well, I thought maybe it would be fun to do
no,
more.
It's fun.
But maybe it's lame.
No, it's fun.
No, I like it.
Don't worry. I just wanted to feel special.
And for the loser, I have to find something for the flop.
For episode flop.
Episode.
Wait, do the episode Silly Goose. Do episode Silly Goose.
Episode Silly Goose.
Oh, she.
Episode Silly Goose.
That is definitely a swan, Allie. But it's a goose in our hearts. It's okay.
It's okay. It's a goose.
You're the silly goose.
Thank you so much.
Congrats.
Wait, episode Silly Goose is funny. Maybe we should keep doing that.
Wait, should we backlog some silly geese?
Let's backlog some silly geese.
I think I've been silly goose many times.
Let's see. I mean, the obvious answer is the person who goes home. Just for Scan. We can't go into Manhattan.
Yeah.
So episod 1, Dominic goes home.
Dominic, congratulations. You won an award.
100%. His tribal council speech is the silliest of the geese.
It's not always, but see, I feel like a lot of times it will just be the person who goes home. But okay, wait. But it's definitely not Surat.
Definitely not
the
Surat.
Silly Goose. So who's the silly goose of that episode?
I think silly goose might be Gabby, because she's like, we really won over Grant. Meanwhile, Grant is like, so I guess they're starting a Black Widow brigade.
yeah, Gabby's a good silly goose. I do also think the Dolls tribe is silly goosing it up in general in episode 2.
In the second,
what did they? I would say episode 3, the Dolls are silly goose.
Yeah, episode 3,
the Dolls.
Congratulations.
To every single one of the Dolls.
That time though.
Well, you were in the tent still.
Dolls camp. All the dolls.
All the dolls are the silly geese.
But for episode 2, I think we're gonna give it to Gabby.
Silly goose Gabby. And then episode 4 is it actually Allie? Yeah. And is she the silly goose?
I mean, it's Santino.
Yeah.
Well,
there you go.
But maybe Dominic again too. Wait, we have
dual silly geese.
Look at these two.
Look at that's Dominic and Santino saying, "I'm gonna pour out the water. Cameraman, turn off the camera."
My heart for justice saved me from the silly goose crown.
Yeah.
So yeah, you didn't get any award today. So no.
I was safe from all awards.
Good and bad.
Yeah. They even each other out.
A first episode MVP of a player that's not MVP. Episode Silly Goose. I feel like it can't be episode of Silly Goose. It's just gonna be Silly Goose. Silly Goose of the day. Sure.
Of the day.
Silly Goose of the day. It being someone was already voted off.
Yeah. That's pretty impressive.
That is impressive.
Again, who knows?
A dual silly goose, the first ever dual silly goose post-mortem.
Yeah.
Posthumous silly goose.
Invented silly goose moments ago, but this is historic.
This is the first, and we need to document it.
Yeah. We need to inform them.
Oh my god, for us, I just realized for the first episode we had dual episode MVPs, so they should have gotten dual.
Oh right, so true. It was Grant and Dylan.
Thank God
you have I know, thank God your earrings are so fun.
You gotta start searching for more. There's a bunch.
Yeah. Very fun. All right. With that, I think we're going to end this episode. Next episode we will be discussing our mergatory, where not only will one player be eliminated, but two. We're still in the works of scheduling and things like that, but we will have someone on here, at least one person, perhaps a silly goose. We will see. And with that, ma'ams are signing off.